dreamed of rain and the rains came, soft and easy, sweet and clear. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of summer and the winds changed, and the green was easy and the rivers ran clear. I dreamed of summer and the winds changed, and peace spread over the land. And the flowers bloomed in the desert, and the air is fresh and clear. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, and peace spread over the I dreamed of freedom and the moon rose, and the way was easy and the path was clear. I dreamed of freedom and the moon rose, and peace spread over the land. And the guardian stars are shining, and the night is bright and clear. I dreamed of freedom and the moon rose, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of heaven and the earth sang, and the song was easy, the song was clear. I dreamed of heaven and the earth sang, and peace spread over the land. And the ancient pain is forgotten, and the Father's debts are clear. I dreamed of heaven and the earth sang. Peace spread over the land. I dreamed of rain and the rains came. I dreamed of rain and the rains came.
Good morning. And welcome to the Emerson Unitarian Universalist congregation. My name is Jeffrey Jacoby, and I am today's worship assistant. We welcome you to this amazing congregation, whether this is your first time or 1,000th time. We know you come here for different reasons: to find community, to seek your spiritual and personal truths, to question, to nurture your heart and soul, to be nurtured, to explore new ideas, to find comfort, and perhaps to find answers to some of your bigger questions. After the service, all are invited to join us for social time following the service for light refreshments. Our main fellowship hall is on this floor, directly behind the sanctuary, and you can reach it through this hallway. Our family-friendly fellowship hall with snacks and activities for all ages is upstairs in room 214, which is accessible by the back stairs or the elevator. After fellowship time, please join us for religious exploration and small group gatherings as listed on the back of your order of service. There are several things to do. It is such a joy to be together in community today. And now we will light our chalice as our symbol of Unitarian Universalism. Cariana, is Cariana here? I don't see her. Do you see Cariana? I was looking for her. I didn't see her. Okay, she was supposed to. Is there any chalice kid here who wants to light the chalice this morning? Hey, there's one. Come on up. Thank you, sir, for saving the day. We light this chalice for the fields of love and community where we gather to find truth beyond our differences. Thank you, sir. Excellent. And now, in the spirit of love and the beloved community, let's share our congregational affirmation: we need not think alike to love alike. And now let's greet and welcome each other to this new day. Those in the sanctuary, please feel free to turn to your neighbors and offer greetings. And for those online, please use the chat to introduce yourself. So, Reverend Christina is out this Sunday, and today we have a special guest speaker, Reverend Marti Keller. Reverend Marti. Round of applause. Reverend Marti has been a Unitarian Universalist parish and community minister for 25 years, serving congregations in the Deep South. Presently, although she lives in Decatur, she is the minister for the Auburn, Alabama UU Fellowship. What a commute. A self-identified Junitarian, she was the co-editor of Jewish Voices in Unitarian Universalism, published by Skinner House Press. She is past president and board member of Unitarian Universalists for Jewish Awareness. 2 years ago, at age 75, she was bat mitzvahed by the secular synagogue. So we welcome Reverend Marti today.
Thank you, and thanks to Reverend Christina for an invitation. She and I only live like 3 blocks away from each other, so we actually get a chance to see each other fairly often. My opening words are, in Judaism, a mitzvah, and I want you to practice saying a word that's not English, so mitzvah, excellent. In Judaism, a mitzvah is a commandment, but the word has become a synonym for those sublime, kind deeds people do for others. It's a faith tradition that I would argue, very much like ours, is based in deeds and not creeds. So in this spirit, may we be gathered here this morning. And the opening hymn is from what I call the teal hymnal, but my choir director insists on calling the soft-covered hymnal. And it's Return Again, and both of the hymns I selected today are from the Jewish tradition. So you hear the minor notes, which I love. Anyway, I hope you enjoy them.
Return
Good morning. I was back there saying mitzvah, mitzvah. Okay, let's see. My name's Chloe, by the way. Now we pause and reflect on matters of the heart. Thank you, Olivia or Kiriana, for joining me. I need someone up here. Noah. Oh, come on. Yeah. Just hop right over there. Both Kiriana, both of you. We gonna do it together, okay? Okay. All right. So for this morning's ritual, we have water and we have river stones. Y'all are gonna take turns. The stones are smooth and the stones have weight. They're indicative of both life's pleasures and times of ease, as well as life's burdens and times of heaviness. The water receives these stones with ease and calmness. Each week, you're invited to write a joy or sorrow or concern in this book, or email it to pastoralcare@emersonuu.org to be shared with the congregation. We begin by placing 3 stones. The first is in honor of the Cherokee and Muskogee nations of indigenous peoples whose lands we reside on. The second is in memory for those wrongfully enslaved who labored on this land. The third is for all those hurting in current conflicts and wars raging again across our globe. Within our community, we share that, and this is from March Price. Many thanks to our beautiful Emerson community for the lovely flowers that Suzanne Ullman delivered last Sunday to us, and other Emersonians who were unable to participate in Easter service in person. It warmed the hearts of both myself and my son, Barton, who is visiting from Rhode Island. Thank you so much for your kindness. Please accept my best wishes to all of you in our beloved Emerson community. The next is from Michael Petty. This is a sorrow for a close spiritual friend's passing from complications with mental health. The next is from Jane Dillingham. At last a joy. Vicky, my sister, is in remission. This one is from Zoe Hunt. And this says, the greatest mom in the world has her birthday today. This one is from Seth and I, and this is for Roby and Julian Thomas, who just celebrated their recent marriage. And I got 2 on my phone. This is a concern from Stephanie Spalding. I am asking for positive thoughts and healing vibes this week, as I'm scheduled for spine surgery this upcoming Wednesday. Thank you. And the last one, this is from Millie Fuller. We're sad to share that Millie had a fall this past week. She broke her hip and had corrective surgery. Millie is healing well and is going to spend some time at rehab before returning home. She and Richard are appreciative of support through cards and phone calls. No meals are needed at this time. Thank you, guys. You did good. In thankful awareness, let's say the Buddhist prayer of loving kindness. Please read the words with me that are printed in the order of service or on the screen. May we all be filled with loving kindness. May we all be free from harm and suffering. May we all be well in body, heart, and mind. May we all be at peace. Blessed be. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Mary Miller. I'm the co-chair of the Social Justice Leadership Team. Each week at Emerson, we receive an offering that is both practical and meaningful. Half of our offering supports our congregation, our staff, our building, religious education, and the many ministries that sustain our life together. The other half of the offering is a spiritual practice. As we pass the basket, we practice gratitude and generosity, reminding ourselves that giving is part of our shared spiritual life. By sharing half of our offering with community partners beyond our walls, we extend our values of love and justice into the wider world. This month, in honor of Earth Month, we will share our offering with the North Metro Atlanta chapter of the Georgia Native Plant Society. Today, we are very fortunate to have with us Jean Young and Susan Castle. Jean's a great friend of mine and neighbor, and vice president of the Georgia Native Plant Society.
Hi, everyone. Jean Young, I'm a member here. Haven't been here in a little while, so it's nice to see some faces. So you're probably thinking, what's the big deal about native plants? I know that I was one of those people. When I first became a master gardener, my focus was about food insecurity. I wanted to make sure that I felt passionate that everyone should have access to nutrient-dense organic fruits and vegetables. It just seems like the most fundamental way to care for each other is through that kind of food. So, when you think about, well, what does that have to do with native plants? Many of you might know this already, but what it comes down to is that 1 out of every 3 bites of food that you eat exists because it's been pollinated by an insect. And without those insects, and I'm not just talking about pretty butterflies, I'm talking about the bees, the flies, and many very, very small, often overlooked insects. Without them, we can't survive. So when you look at the food web, and you see the plants, the insects, the birds, pigs, cows, all the way up to whales, some of the largest and smallest, the human is not in that web. Why is that? Yes, we may be an apex predator. We may look at ourselves as being at the top of the food web or outside of the food web, but really, we're in the middle of the food web. And without those very, very small organisms, all the way up to the very large, we can't exist without them. So really, here's the key. Without those insects, without native plants, there won't be those insects. And if you're curious and you want to learn more about how to conserve our natural resources, help the pollinators, protect our food systems, then I would love for you to join me at room 103 after the service, and I really look forward to seeing you there.
For those in the sanctuary, as the basket is passed, please feel free to offer a donation or see in your order of service other ways to give. For those online, go to emersonuu.org and select the Giving tab to donate. For children, feel free also to take a lollipop from the basket. The morning offering will now be given and received with gratitude.
young and young at heart, come join us up in the front for story time.
All right. Wow, I've never heard myself on this microphone before. That's pretty fun. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jeff. This is my first story. It's called A Good Deed Can Grow. Let's see if my pictures come up here. Okay, I want you guys to pay special attention as I'm reading this story to the pictures, because the story itself is very simple. It's pretty much one sentence per page. But it's all about how if you can do something nice for just one person every day, then it can blossom out and ripple out and have a great effect on the world. A good deed can grow like a seed. A seed that sprouts into a dandelion and travels from yard to yard, and field to field, and town to town. A good deed can grow like a ripple. Thank you. A ripple that begins with a drop and spreads into a circle, and ring after ring across an entire lake. A good deed can grow like a sunbeam. A sunbeam that shines through the clouds and transforms the dull to light and the gray to bright. A good deed can grow like a smile. A smile that calms worries and nerves and warms hearts, or welcomes you home. Sometimes we might feel too small to help a problem that seems so big. When that happens, remember all the goodness and all the kindness that exists in our world began somewhere, some time ago. As a seed, a ripple, a sunbeam, a smile. What good will you grow today? So I want to tell you guys something real quick about, I was looking up some stuff that could be an example of a good deed growing into something that changed the world. And I saw a lot of people that everybody knows, like Rosa Parks or Oscar Schindler or Anne Frank, stuff like that. But I actually settled on an example that I know from my own life growing up in the Baptist church back in Florida. So I knew a guy back then, his name was Tom Beauregard. And Tom Beauregard came into possession of a very large house. And he lived there all by himself. And one day he came upon someone that was in need. It was a young person in need. And he decided to take that person in and give them temporary housing and feed them and help them to go on their way in the world. And he enjoyed that so much, helping that one person, that he took in another person and another person. And eventually he had to take on volunteers to help him. And his house became known as the Mission of Winter Haven. It was kind of, that was the town I grew up in. It was kind of an unofficial name for it. Well, that went on for many years, and he housed many people and helped many people. And he passed away a few years ago. And the Mission is now an official charity place where people stay and live, and they help hundreds, if not thousands of people every year just because of that one act of kindness that Tom did. You imagine all those hundreds or thousands of people that have been helped by that place, how many people may have been inspired to help, and that ripple effect has gone out and changed the world. So I want you guys to think about that this week as you go out into your lives. If you're doing good things for people, every time you do a good deed for somebody, just think about how that can ripple out and change the world. All right, that's it.
So we are now going to stand to sing our song of dedication. The words to it are printed on the back of your order of service. After the song is over, if you are 7 and under, you can follow me to the nursery.
Serve humankind in fellowship.
For those of you who know me, it might be a little known fact that my first master's degree was in children's storytelling and creative dramatics. And we might as well all go home because the sermon already got given. What a great choice, anyway. I often think that that's so, that our children's stories preach. So I speak to you this morning as a self-identified, nearly lifelong Unitarian. And you can laugh because I said it. A Unitarian Universalist who carries with me this cultural, ethnic, and religious heritage. Reverend Christina asked me to highlight some ways in which Judaism intersects with and enriches the multi-religiosity, I love that word, of this living faith tradition. You have a series this year. We're looking at our sources. So she invited me and asked me to talk a little bit about Jewishness and Judaism within Unitarian Universalism as an influence. What sociologists of religion and religious marketers increasingly recognize at what might be described as our market edge. And our market edge isn't that we center love, by the way. There are other religious communities that do that. We're glad to join them. But the thing that distinguishes us, and the reason why this series on sources is so wonderful, it's our diversity, our pluralism. Many paths, one congregation. This is our market edge. This is what people are looking for. First, a preface that I feel compelled to deliver. And I'm going to take a deep breath. Last week was a major Jewish holiday. Would you like to tell me what it was? Which is increasingly celebrated by UUs, especially the Seder, the holy meal, during which the story of the Jewish exodus from Egypt, their freedom from enslavement, is symbolized. An ancient story expanded in most versions these days of the Haggadah, the telling, to encompass the many ways many people have been and are still being held captive, not just Jews. The many plagues that have been rained down, not just on Egyptians, and the deadly harm that is done, not just to the Jewish people, but to Jewish people throughout history. It was within this context that Jewish journalist and commentator Nahum Kaplan wrote an essay for the online publication Future of Jewish, a portion of which I'm going to read you right now. He wrote, "It is Passover, a time to reflect on the state of Jewish freedom. It is now a very different world for diaspora Jews, those millions of us who live outside of Israel, who make up only 0.2% of all the people in the world. For a long time, longer than many can remember, Jews in the West believed that we could live ordinary lives. He observed that we could become lawyers, teachers, doctors, engineers, shop owners, whatever we've been trained for, whatever we want to do. We could complain about rent, we could argue about football, we could watch television and generally behave like everyone else. Our Jewishness existed, of course, yet it did so quietly." He wrote, unless one was orthodox, it was something in the background of our lives mostly. It was our family history. It was our cultural inheritance. Perhaps it was going to a synagogue on Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, if guilt and nostalgia demanded it. It did not need to be constantly defended in public like a doctoral dissertation. Not anymore, he believes. Today, every Jew has two jobs, their day job and their second one as a defender of Jews. Unlike the first job, nobody applied for the second, he wrote. It has been assigned us. As a Jewish UU minister of some 26 years, I know of what he speaks. And this from Rabbi Rami Shapiro. Being a Jew no more obligates you to support Israel than loving the U.S. Constitution obligates you to support MAGA. Being a Jew obligates you to the mission of the Jew, to be a blessing to all the families of the earth, Genesis 12:3. Uphold the value of justice, compassion, and spiritual humility, Micah 6:8, and practicing mitzvah that embodies these values and fulfill our mission. It is the latter Jewish mandate, practicing mitzvah, that I have chosen to focus on today. As Danny Siegels, known from coast to coast as the mitzvah man, explains, the word mitzvah, and let's just say it again, practice it, mitzvah, technically means commandment and refers to the entire range, the entire 613 of God's commandments that were written in the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible. He tells us that this includes observing the Sabbath and the holidays, providing for the sick and the aged and the orphan, and welcoming the stranger. Besides this general definition, as I said in my opening words, the word mitzvah, which in the plural form is mitzvot, so we can say mitzvot, you've got that, mitzvot, has become a synonym for those sublime, kind deeds that people do for others. Deeds, not creeds. Deeds, not creeds. In my Alabama fellowship, deep in the Bible Belt, I am the Auburn, Alabama minister. We have been unpacking some of the religious concepts of sin and atonement, including what is the traditional Christian belief in original sin, we're all born sinful, and the blood and flesh atonement by Jesus, who for all time takes away our sin, symbolized in the communion. Our UU rejection of the notion of original sin and the presence of a personal Lord and Savior as the antidote. That instead, we are responsible for our wrong actions and for the remedy, right? We, not some divine outside force, we are responsible for our wrong actions and for their remedy. Judaism comes much closer to our belief, which is a major focus of the high holy days of the Jewish calendar. Rosh Hashanah, oh, we can practice that one, Rosh Hashanah, Jewish New Year, and Yom Kippur. My husband says Yom Kippur, it drives me crazy. The Day of Atonement that takes place every fall. As one of those readings from the High Holy Days instructs us, we are asked to ask hard questions. How much time did we waste in the year that was gone? Did we fill our days with life, or were they empty and dull? Was there real companionship with our children, or was there a living together and a growing apart? Were we there to help our mates, or did we take them for granted? How was it with our friends? Were we there when they needed us or not? Did we live by false values, we are asked? Did we deceive others? Did we deceive ourselves? That unnecessary jibe, did we say it or hold back? And the kind deed, did we perform it or postpone it? Questions to ask and repairs to be made the whole year round. Rabbi Joseph Telushkin, in his book of Jewish Values, A Day-to-Day Guide to Ethical Living, lets us know that even the Talmud, the Jewish book of law, stipulates that repentance for doing wrong and not doing right is good, but over-repentance is not. And how many of you know what I'm talking about? Going over and over and over and over and over and over and over what you did bad. He quotes his own grandfather, also a rabbi, who used an analogy about salt water to argue that it is better for us, in fact, asked of us, to turn away at some point from fretting over and trying to fix evil, or at least bad deeds we have done, and instead to do good deeds. He asks, so I want you to follow this salt story, okay? Suppose you're given a quantity of salt water you're supposed to drink. What are you going to do? There are two possibilities, he says. One is to remove all the salt. However, he points out this is an arduous process. Without special equipment, the average person could never remove all the salt in a glass of water. Could you? No. Alternately, one can pour so much fresh water into the salt water that the salt becomes untasteable. There are certain kinds of people, or sinners, as his grandfather called them. In Judaism, a sinner is someone who misses the moral mark. How do you like that definition? How many of you have missed the moral mark? Well, you're sinners. Who become so focused on the evil tendencies within themselves or sins within themselves that they become depressed and are simply unable to act at all. Instead of trying to root out all evil, something that it is impossible to do, he believed, it is better to overwhelm evil with more good. Do good is a basic precept of what it means to be Jewish, or as children's author Lauren Seidman calls, living Jewishly. Just be the best person you can be, she writes in her book, What Makes Someone a Jew? It's all about your deeds, your thoughts, and your heart. Your deeds, your thoughts, and your heart. She tells children, you can visit a grandparent. You can pick your toys up from the floor. When mom or dad asks for quiet, don't say any more. Do try to bring a smile to someone who is sad. Doing any of those things will surely make God glad. And also remembering the good we have done and vowing to do more. In the vocabulary of Jewish spiritual life, a mitzvah is a deed in which humans are given the opportunity to do things, to be partners in the world's creation and to help perfect it. One rabbi had made the argument that good deed is not an accurate translation of the word mitzvah, that there is actually no equivalent word in the English language, because a good deed is voluntary and a commandment to do good is obligatory. It is written in the Talmud that the greater is the person who is commanded and carries out a deed than one who is not commanded and carries it out, because obligatory acts will be carried out with greater consistency and staying power than voluntary ones. This is not a very compatible notion with Unitarian Universalism, where our individual ethics are situational, right, and evolving, and our relationship to our principles voluntary and negotiable. Can you kind of agree to that? Okay. There is not, of course, a uniformity of opinion within Judaism. You know, I don't know if you heard the thing, you get 5 Jews in the room and you get 10 opinions. So there's not a uniformity within Judaism, within its denominations or its individual religious leaders about how commanding these commandments are and where our will to adhere to them comes from. As Rabbi Solomon Schachter Shalomi, a major figure in the progressive Jewish renewal movement, argued, the secularization of the world for Jews and for all people means that in an open society, we are all of us completely free to decide whether or not, to what extent we want to make Judaism, its practices and ethical requirements, or any other faith tradition, its practices and ethical requirements, a part of our lives. In a world without kings, or many kings, he wrote, the old understanding of what it means to be commanded, ordered from on high, is defunct. That any sense of command must come within, from inside of us, whether or not we have formed a belief in what we call God. Today, in this kind of secular world, we all take a leap, not of faith, but of action, he observed, that by performing these mitzvot, these prayerful or practical actions, transformation will begin to happen. The classic children's book, Tell Me a Mitzvah, Little or Big Ways to Repair the World by Danny Siegel, is all about mitzvot, synonymous with personal acts of goodness. And we heard one today, and I'm going to tell you some others. There's the story of the tuna fish mitzvah. What's that, a tuna fish mitzvah? Picking up one extra thing to give away, whether a box of cereal or a jar of peanut butter or a can of tuna, even a bottle of shampoo or a tube of toothpaste, or the Denver woman who had 70,000 pairs of shoes that she gave away. 70,000 pairs of shoes after first finding some in a department store dumpster when she was looking for packing boxes. First, she dumpster dived. Then the word went out, and businesses and individuals began donating them to her and other things. Perfectly good clothes out of season, 152,000 pounds of candy, 4 big truckloads. She got calls from people every day. Nearly $1 million worth of merchandise and food every year. Over the years, a total of $23 million in usable items to distribute to people in need. Now, is that a mitzvah? Yes. The book described, I love this, a mitzvah crib filled with donated diapers and formula and baby food and blankets and stuffed animals and pacifiers, and then the bigger items like high chairs and playpens and car seats, all given to agencies working with economically disadvantaged families and then restocked again. Is this not a mitzvah? Yeah. And then, this is now out of date, and then a penny harvest. A mitzvah by a man who asked for and collected these in New York while we still had pennies, counting them, rolling them up, putting them in the bank, and using the money for unhoused and other poor people in the city. Well, think nickels and dimes now, right? When he expanded his project to 327 public schools, they collected 20 tons of coins worth almost $90,000. And eventually the project had a name, Common Sense. Is that not a major mitzvah? All of these service projects, purposeful and meaningful and powerful. Would you agree? These small, kid-sized mitzvot, the author tells us, lead to bigger mitzvot as we grow older and we have more access to power and ability to change the world, which in Hebrew is and I think many of you have heard of this, Tikkun Olam, repairing the world. We can say that, Tikkun Olam. In the words of Rami Shapiro, it is up to us to hallow creation, to respond to life with the fullness of our individual lives. It is up to us to meet the world, to embrace the whole, even as we wrestle with its puzzling parts. It is up to us to repair the world, not through our creeds, but through our mitzvot, through our deeds. May it be so today. I'd like you to join me in the closing hymn, number 402, another Jewish song written by two rabbis, Joseph and Nathan. From you I receive, Please Rise in Body or Spirit, number 402. Our world is broken in big and small ways, and when we do mitzvahs, we are fixing it up. That's called Tikkun Olam, repairing the world.
And now we have our chalice extinguishing. Would Cariana, you want to come up and do the chalice extinguishing with me? Thank you. As we extinguish our chalice this morning, we extinguish the light, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world until we are together again. And please see today's second hour educational opportunities on the back of your order of service and the notices on the flyers for the upcoming week's special events. Next Sunday, make sure you're here for the senior youth service. That'll be put on by the youth. That's always a very interesting, good service you don't want to miss. And please mark your calendars for the first Sunday in May. Emerson will celebrate its 44th anniversary. So we're going to have a big party with veggie burgers, and we're going to do our annual Emerson photo. So make sure you're there. Please RSVP on Realm. But if you don't, you can still come anyway. We'll be very happy to see you. We hope to see everybody there. And before you take peace wherever you go, Susan Ullman has an announcement. Today is Fire Drill Day.
Thank you, Jeffrey. I'm Susan Ullman, co-chair of our illustrious Emerson Safety Team, and up there is John Malik, my co-chair. We work really hard to keep Emerson safe, and we're trying to work as hard as we can to keep it secure, too. I have a few announcements from our team. Emerson continues to perform and pass our safety team monthly and annual inspections of fire extinguishers, emergency lights, exit lights, horn strobes, alarm pull stations, and ceiling sprinkler heads, among others. We have a safety@emersonuu.org email address you can use to communicate with us. Our team meets quarterly in person here at Emerson. And this is really important. Always, always, always keep all the fire doors in the building closed. They're the wood doors that aren't painted white or whatever, and they're near the stairwells in the front and in the back of the building. And I hereby deputize all of you to close the fire doors. When you see them propped open, wedged open, held open, or otherwise, keeping them closed prevents fire backdraft, which is a very, very rapid spread of fire through the building, fueled by air currents that go down through the stairs and through open fire doors. Also, please do not block the left, on my left, and the right dais stairs. Don't block fire extinguishers. Don't block hallways with things. And don't block the wall aisles in our sanctuary. We need them clear to keep us safe. So next, let's have our annual fire drill. Our goal is to evacuate this building in an orderly fashion as quickly as possible. Leave by the building exit door closest to you. There's 2 sets of double doors there. There's a set of double doors there. There's a set of double door exit doors over there. Now, the ones over there have wood fire doors near them. And only, at this point in time, only one will open. So people can maybe only pass through one at a time. In our last fire drill, we were backed up 30 feet with people. So I recommend if you're near those doors and those doors, you might get out sooner.